What's going on, YouTube family? It's the old guy back again with another deck profile. We're at 197 subscribers. Thanks, guys, for all your support on the channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. I'm going to keep pumping these things out. I've got quite a few deck profiles to profile this week, so it's going to be a little bit more than one upload that I normally do. So I'm going to be pushing out a couple more. We got some great decks that just released. In case you're not familiar with the whole release of Amazing Defenders, we have 3 new decks that came out of it: Makonko, Rescue Ace, and what was the other one? Oh, yeah, Prairie. And I have, in case you didn't know, if you don't follow me on my socials, you can follow me either on Facebook. You can search me up by Patrick Ramsey as well, as we have YGO TCG Decks on Facebook. Pretty large group. We're growing. And yeah, it's been a great experience so far. So let's keep on continuing this as long as we can. And with the new release of Amazing Defenders, which came out, I believe, on the 20th, the 3 new decks, like I mentioned, my favorite deck, and I think the one with the most potential, or I would say secondary potential that most folks aren't really looking at, is the Rescue Ace. So this is the deck I want to profile first. Without going too much into detail right now, we'll get into that in the deck profile. Let's just go ahead and get started with the deck, and I can show you what it does. All right, so for the boss monster of the deck, we're going to be running 1 Rescue Ace Turbulence. So Rescue Ace Turbulence is obviously the boss monsters, 3,000, 3,000. It can be special summoned by banishing 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard. The card itself is pretty broken, in my opinion. So what it does is, during the main phase, once per turn, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace spells and traps with different names from your deck onto your field. So I don't think there's any other card in the game that does what this card does. So off the rip, that's really amazing. And the second thing that this card does is that if you have any card that you control leaves the field by your opponent's card effect, you can pop 1 card. It's either 1 monster or 1 card on your opponent's side of the field, but I believe it's 1 card. Yes, 1 card. So this card is very versatile. There's no summoning restrictions on this. It's only the fact that everything's pretty much a hard once. But if you special summon it out of the deck or from the graveyard or whatever they have you, the card still can use its effects. It's a level 9, so it works. It has synergy. Hopefully in the future with World Legacy, what is it? That one World Legacy spell where it special summons out of the deck 2 level 9 monsters with different types and different attributes. So I can see some synergy with that card. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that right there. And for the other 3 cards you're going to be running that are going to be your starters and really your cards that you're going to need in order to run the deck efficiently, is you're going to be running 3 Rescue Ace Hydrants. So Rescue Ace Hydrant is going to be essentially the card that you need to get to in the deck in order for your other Rescue Ace spells to get their full effects. And I believe there's a monster as well that gets their effects if Hydrant's on the field. So Hydrant is going to be essentially, the whole deck revolves around this 1 card. So if I can read you the effect, and I just want to make sure I read it correctly, so I'm going to go ahead and get it in the camera. It's, while you control a Rescue Ace monster other than Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent cannot target this card with attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. You can only use each effect of Rescue Ace Hydrant once per turn. You can activate a quick play spell or trap that was set by the effects of a Rescue Ace card. And it says, and then it was set, the turn it was set, excuse me. During the main phase, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand. So essentially, it's like a Rhoda. It's protection, and it also enables your Turbulence to set, to activate those 4 set cards while it's on the field. So that's obviously just completely amazing. The deck itself, in my opinion, is extremely strong as far as that goes. But going on to the next monster, we're going to have your Rescue Ace. I think it's Air Carrier, Air Lifter. Yeah, Airlifter. So essentially, it's a level 4 warrior monster, 1700 attack, 1700 defense. And this is going to search, this is going to be on normal or special. You're going to be able to search your quick play spell cards. So I believe it is quick play. Give me 1 second. These cards are very new. Yeah, it says when this, let's see, special summon one rescue ace monster from your hand. So yeah, this will definitely one rescue ace spell from the deck to your hand. And then also when your opponent activates a monster effect, it's a quick effect. You contribute this card to from face-up card on the field to special summon one rescue ace from your hand. Okay, so as you can see, there's kind of like a recurring theme here. Most of these cards have quick effects, and a lot of these cards can bring out bigger rescue ace monsters from your hand. So along with going with that, let's go ahead and go over the two rescue ace fire hydrants. Sorry about the glare there. Rescue ace fire hydrant is kind of like your sub boss monster. And what it does is it essentially, when you normal special summon a rescue ace, he allows it to special summon himself. And when he's special summoned, or when he's on the field, he will do 1 second. So you can special summon this card from your hand. If monsters are special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, you can special summon a level 4 rescue ace monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So essentially, he kind of he's definitely an extender in my opinion. So, but he relies on your opponent to be able to do to use his effect. I think that running him at 2 or 1 is pretty good. The rest mentioned, I think you could run invariably with the exception of Turbulence. It should be at 1 or 2, in my opinion, just because it's just, you know, such a big monster. You really don't want it to clump up in your hand. So let's go ahead and put those away and go on to the next set of Rescue Ace cards. So you're going to have 2 Rescue Ace Fire Attacker. So 2 Rescue Ace Fire Attacker, that's going to be your level 6 monster. And what Rescue Ace Fire Attacker does is that if you control, if a Rescue Ace monster is normal summon or special summon to your field except for Rescue Ace Fire Attacker, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If cards are added to your opponent's hand except by drawing them, you can draw 2 cards and then discard 1 card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So as you can see, you can get him out on the field quite easily. And also, he facilitates that extra draw, which I think is really good in this deck because if you put any of your Rescue Ace in the graveyard, including the spells or traps, that's just more fodder for you to special out Turbulence. Then we're going to be running 1 Rescue Ace Monitor. He has a level 4 warrior type. His effect is, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Rescue Ace trap from your deck to your hand. Now, this is going to be a little bit more relevant a little bit later on when we get the Rescue Ace Reinforced trap. That card actually has quite a bit of utility in the graveyard by being able to banish itself to do extra things. So Rescue Ace, in my opinion, will be still continue to get support. And because there's fire support coming in the new Duelist pack in the OCG, we might see some indirect support coming to Rescue Ace as well. And not to mention that this deck has quite a bit of synergy with the Infernoble Knight monsters as well. So you want to just kind of look over those cards and glance over them. I had a few ideas about the deck myself, but I figured that being able to give you the best pure variant of the deck would be a great starter. So, and for last, you'll be running 1 Rescue Ace Impulse. I see a lot of people run this at 3 or at 2, and it no doubtably is a great card. Let me read you the effect. The effect is during the main phase, you can choose 1 effect monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice. Neither player can activate that monster's effect on the field this turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or face up on the field, special summon 1 Machine Rescue Ace monster from your deck. Now, that effect, that second effect, is actually really good. However, you still have to wait for your opponent to trigger it. So I think that it's a great card in my opinion. I just think that we just don't have the tools to be able to use it effectively. And if your opponent knows what these cards do, they're going to just end up getting rid of it before you can use its effect. And special summoning something out of the deck, I mean, it makes it a little bit susceptible to Ash Blossom and other cards like that. I just really don't think you should run too many of it. One is good enough, and I think if you have one and the amount of recursion that's in this deck, one should be plenty. So onto the Rescue Ace spells, you'll be running one Rescue Ace HQ. So Rescue Ace HQ is actually, it reminds me a lot of the Runic Fountain because it will shuffle back into your deck, rescue Ace spells and traps that are banished or in the graveyard, and then allow you to draw one card. It also allows you to do an extra normal summon of one Rescue Ace monster, as well as giving all your Rescue Ace monsters 500 attack and defense. So this card is actually really good. I would see about maybe running it at 2 when the Rescue Ace have more support and you can kind of run a larger main monster lineup. But I do think it's an amazing card, actually. And we really need a lot more support for this deck. It seems to have the skeleton of something that can be quite meta viable. So for the second spell, you're going to be running 2 Alert. So Alert can be treated as, Alert is always treated as a Rescue Ace card, so you can banish this card with the effect of Turbulence to special summon it. And what Alert does is it actually depends on having Hydrant on the field. So if you can add a Rescue Ace monster from your graveyard to your hand, or if you control a Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can add one Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand instead. And you can only activate it once per turn, which kind of stings a little bit, but I think that running it at 2 should be really, really good for the deck. I don't think, since considering that you can special summon out of the deck with Impulse, and you can kind of search out the cards that you need. Everything in this deck is extremely searchable, which makes it seem like it's got some really good opportunities there to be meta viable. So the second spell that you'll be running, or third spell you'll be running, is Rescue. And that's also the same as Alert. It's consistently treated as a Rescue Ace card. And it says that you can target one Rescue Ace monster in your graveyard. Or if you control a Rescue Ace Hydrant, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your field. All right, so there's essentially no restrictions on that besides you controlling Hydrant. And it's just free special summon a monster out of your grave or your opponent's grave. And to me, that is like pretty busted. I mean, you can just take whatever you want out of their graveyard. There's no cost. There's no nothing. It's only a requirement of having Hydrant on the field, which you'll see as we get further into the deck that there are quite a few options. So I wanted to finish the deck off with one Extinguish and one Contain. And those cards, the trap cards, obviously, they're going to be a little bit slower, right? But if you have Hydrant on the field, obviously you can activate those cards as soon as they're set. And what I really like is they kind of act like an imperm for the most part. They'll act like an imperm, or they'll destroy a card and then they'll negate. So I'll read to you Extinguish really fast. It says if you control a Rescue Ace monster, target one effect monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Then if you currently control Rescue Ace Hydrant, your opponent cannot activate the effects of that destroyed monster or of monsters with its same original name this turn. And then Contain is kind of my favorite. I really do like this effect. Contain says if you control a Rescue Ace monster, target one effect monster your opponent controls this turn. That effect monster cannot attack. Also, its effects are negated. If you control a Rescue Ace Hydrant, at resolution of this effect, that monster cannot also be used as XYZ, Synchro, Fusion, or Link summon material. So Contain really just kind of makes a monster just dead in the water. And I really do like that they just can't do anything with it. There's nothing they can do. It can be tributed for probably a tribute summon, but it can't be, there's nothing else that can be done with that card. So I do like Contain a lot. Extinguish is also a great card. And that's going to pretty much end our lineup for Rescue Ace Monsters. All right, so we're going to get into some tech choices here. I think a great tech choice here would be Therion King Regulus. If you're not familiar with Regulus or what he does, basically, if you have a machine monster in the graveyard, you can special summon him from your hand to equip him, and then and equip that monster that's in the graveyard to him. So then, once he's equipped with a machine monster or with a card, he basically becomes an Omni Negate. So he's a great addition to the deck. The deck is mostly machines and fire warriors, so there's no real reason. Sorry about that, camera cut out. But there's no real reason to not run Therion King Regulus. His effect and synergy with the deck is quite awesome. So that will be my one tech choice for the deck. If I would say run two, that would probably be better in my opinion. Maybe even three. I haven't tested it out yet, but I know that one works really well. So then we're going to run three Pyrese Map. Essentially, since Hydrant is a zero attack monster, zero defense, it can be searched via Pyrese Map. And also, we need to see Hydrant in order to get a lot of effects to activate, or to get, if we want to get a search off with the spell, whatever the case may have you. I think that having Pyrese Map accessible in your deck is something that needs to happen. Then you're going to run two Pot of Extravagance. This can be Pot of Prosperity. I don't believe you're going to go into your extra deck quite often with this deck, considering that the monsters are pretty strong themselves. So I imagine that having Pot of Extravagance to be able to dig for those cards that you need is a great card. You can run Prosperity in lieu of that. So yeah, that would be totally up to you. Then I have two Triple Tactics Talents. This card's pretty much self-explanatory. It helps you, kind of level the playing field if your opponent likes playing on your turn. Then you're going to run one Reinforcement of the Army. One for one to get to your Hydrant. More ways of getting to your Hydrant. The reinforcement would be to search out your warrior monsters. And one called by the grave. And that's going to be pretty much it for those. And then getting on to the extra, what I like to call the hand traps. So for obvious reasons, you're going to run three Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is pretty much self-explanatory. It really helps get around other cards that prevent you from being able to activate, like let's say monster effects. A lot of cards don't really stop you from activating traps, so being able to activate Infinite Impermanence on your opponent really does help stop them from making key plays. And then, in case you haven't gotten tired of it already, here it is. You've got three Druid Worm, three Magnamut. I really don't have a better way of saying this other than these are kind of like the best hand traps for this format. Hopefully, in next format, they will not be as strong. But they are the best as of right now, even better than DD Crow, because they put their bodies on the board. They give you extra resources when it comes to link summoning, XYZ summoning, and you'll see that in the extra deck. All right, so for the extra deck, we're going to kind of run through this as fast as possible. So we've got one Underworld Goddess. For obvious plays, link plays, if you're going to run Underworld Goddess, you have to run IP Masquerena as well. Okay, so she'll show up in the profile here very soon. And then you've got one Appaloosa for obvious negates, one Borrelsword Dragon, one Access Code Talker. So for your link 4s, you're able to make quite a bit of link 4s. You're able to link summon quite a bit in this deck, just by the fact that most of the monsters special summon themselves, bring each other back, the spells special summon, and you have so many options to bring monsters out in this deck. OTKing your opponent with Access Code, Borrelsword, or even just surprising them with tactics. And even if you want to go into Appaloosa to kind of protect yourself from effects, you really can. It's quite a good option for this deck. Then you're going to be running the Nightmare Unicorn, Phoenix, Cerberus, and as far as I'm concerned, IP is a part of this package as well. So you can play on your, it allows for you to play on your opponent's turn, so that way you can kind of keep up with anything and stop them from doing things that you don't want them to do. And because we're running a bestial package, I do have a Hieratic Seals in here as well. When you make a Hieratic Seals, you can bounce it back, special summon, and then maybe go into some potential Link or XYZ plays. And to finish it off, you're running one Link Kuriboh and one Relinquished Anima. And that's because you run a few level 1s in here, namely being Hydrant. So you want to be able to turn those into monsters that can be useful, especially just not sitting in your hand. All right, so that's it for the Link monsters. Let's go on to the XYZs. So for the XYZ, you're going to be running one Willow Founder, and that's just because you're running the Bestials, correct? So, you know, that is what it is. One Terribly Tired Tapir, Bagooska, you know what he does, stuns your opponent. You're going to be running one Abyss Dweller while we're still playing with the graveyard. You know, these things, you're going to need to run Abyss Dweller. That's just how it goes. And then the last one you'll be running is number 60, Dagaris the Timeless. So Dagaris will facilitate digging extra. So if you're running Prosperity or Extravagance or anything like that, or you need a late game or mid game dig or early game, whatever the case may have you, you can actually run this card. It has the exact same effect as Airlift Fire Attacker, I believe. So you basically draw 2, discard 1, great dig effect, and yeah, great XYZ monster. All right, guys. Well, you know, as we do these things, you know, as the game evolves, the channel evolves as well. Please, 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 can you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel? It is a growing channel. I do the best I can. I'm always open to feedback, and I do appreciate everything you guys do for the channel and all the support you show. Please help us get to 200 subs. I really need to get to 200 subs. That is a huge milestone for me. When I first started out doing these things, I didn't think I'd ever get there. But now that we are here, it has been, you know, a wild ride. So I want it to continue. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I've got. Please stay tuned for the next deck profiles that I'll be releasing out this week. We've got Makonko, and unfortunately, Makonko can't be ran by itself, not just yet, not until after the release in Photon Hypernova when we get the Win Makonko, but it'll have to be paired with Libromancer. So I have a deck profile for that coming up as well, guys. All right, well, this has been YGO Podcast Guy. Thank you for watching. I will see you at the next conversation. Peace.